On this episode of Motorsport Recently, we discuss the prospect of a new Spanish F1 team, the Indycar Aeroscreen, and feast our eyes upon some brand new racing cars. This is Triple Crown Racing, let's get into it. Hello everybody and welcome along to Motorsport Recently. My name is Jack McKenzie and joining me on the mic are my usual partners in crime, the wonderful Chris Whitfield and Caitlin Penny commentary. And it's now at 8 a.m. Australian time, at least until the UK clocks change, in which will be 9 a.m. Australian time, which I believe the UK clocks changed on the 27th.
I've forgotten, but I could check that for you. But anyway,
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm here too. I'm Caitlin Penny. I'm also joined by Chris Whitfield. Sorry, I'm stealing your job, Jack. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Why do I even bother? You know what? I'm just going to go downstairs, eat breakfast. You guys carry.
Excellent start.
Anyway, right, so for this week we will be talking about the prospect of a new Formula 1 team, we'll be talking about some Formula E news, we'll be looking at some brand new, very nice-looking race cars, and we'll have your miscellaneous stories and points that we will have missed and we'll be covering at the end of the show. But of course, we start...
And also, before you do that, in Canada, the clocks change back on November 3rd.
Okay, that's
so
fair
I
enough.
have time.
And just remember,
I have no camera.
We go off time, so just be here at 10 p.m. Whatever time it is, whatever time zone it is in the UK, whatever time zone it is anywhere, I'll just be here at 10 p.m. UK. And you should be sweet. There'll be some Motorsport Recently on for you. So, if you're ready, and if everyone's audio's unmuted, we all...
What if we're not? No, sorry, audio's unmuted, don't worry. Go ahead. I was joking.
That scared me a little bit. If you're ready with the jingle, it's time for our Red Line headlines.
Red light, you know you wanna. You know you wanna. You know you wanna. Headline. It's Red Line headline. It's Red Line headlines. I actually got the jingle this week. Are you proud of me?
Hooray!
Extremely proud of you, and Chris, take it away.
All right, let's start with Formula One, as Lewis Hamilton took full advantage of Sebastian Vettel's engine failure to score the victory in the Russian Grand Prix at Sochi. The top three there were Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, and Charles Leclerc. Turning to NASCAR, and oh boy, Chase Elliott capped off a wild race at the Charlotte Roval by coming back from nosing the car into the tire wall on a restart at Tum's Heartburn turn to score the victory. Then having the car rolling backwards during the victory celebration. The top three finishers there were Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and Kevin Harvick. And in the Xfinity Series race, the day before, AJ Allmendinger dominated the Drive for Charity 250 at the Charlotte Roval, claiming his third career Xfinity Series victory. And the best news is, this time, he'll get to keep it. The top three there, Allmendinger, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Cindric. And that is your Red Line headlines for Saturday, October 5th, stroke Sunday, October 6th, 2019. Back to you, Jack.
Thank you very much, Chris. And, well, from the Russian Grand Prix, since I am now a renewed member of the Red Army, I'm kind of sad.
Aww.
I think it's
So
fairly safe to say he backed into that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ferrari didn't really mess up as badly as before. Like, there were some things that they couldn't really see coming. Like, for example, every team struggles with reliability sometimes. Although they really should have taken advantage of the virtual safety car in the way that Mercedes did. I think it just came at a really bad time for them, and some people have pointed out that they put themselves in that bad position because of the scrap between Vettel and Leclerc. But it's really, really difficult to predict that. And if it had worked out for them, everyone would have been saying how great they did. So, to be honest, I think Ferrari got a little bit unlucky at the weekend. But that's not to say that Mercedes didn't deserve that victory, because when you start third and fourth and you come first and second, that doesn't happen by accident. If you take advantage on the virtual safety car, that's because you saw it coming. You saw the advantage, and still, you've got to deliver on the road as well. I think sometimes people forget just how difficult it is to drive an F1 car at speed, even a modern one. So, yeah, Lewis Hamilton did deserve that victory. Valtteri Bottas deserved second. Mercedes deserved a 1-2. Although I do feel sorry for Vettel and Leclerc.
So, well, with the performance that we've been seeing from Vettel, despite the fact he dropped out of the Russian Grand Prix, I believe many people still awarded him driver of the day. I mean, I know I said last week that would be Vettel's last win, and obviously with the pace that he's been showing, I may be proven wrong. So, are we in the middle of a Sebastian Vettel renaissance?
I hope so. I mean, I've said for a long time that he's a very, very good driver. You don't get to be 4 times world champion by accident. I just think Ferrari still, it's not the place for him. It was good in 2015 when he was all fired up and he knew what he wanted and he was hungry for it. But when things started going wrong, it just became a vicious spiral, and suddenly Vettel was a completely different driver, one who couldn't deliver the same kind of results as before. So honestly, I think that if Vettel moved teams, he would have a renaissance, he would have a recovery drive, and he could definitely have that at Ferrari as well. He just needs to get control of his emotions. However, the weekend that we've just seen at the Russian Grand Prix shows, for me, very clearly that the tables have turned at Ferrari. Because put it this way, if the same thing had happened with Raikkonen and Vettel, had Raikkonen gone to pole, then Vettel jumped him at the start, Ferrari would have kept it in that order, wouldn't they? I very much think that Charles Leclerc somehow, despite going into this series with everyone expecting him to play second fiddle to Vettel, has managed to tip the scales at Ferrari, which is a very, very tricky thing to do, and something that, to be honest, I don't think Raikkonen ever tried to do. And I do think that that's probably not good for Vettel, so I'd say probably no.
The reason that Kimi Raikkonen never tried to turn the tables at Ferrari is because he was too busy drinking vodka and eating ice cream.
Not Kimmy. Caitlin. One thing I seem to remember. I seem to remember actually earlier in the season. Remember how I compared him to Ivan Capelli?
I do.
During the '92 season?
Well, I remember you comparing Charles Leclerc to Ivan Capelli, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No, he is so much better than Capelli.
He actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the 1999 season for Eddie Irvine.
Yeah, Irvine got a bit lucky. Well, okay, it's pretty rude of me to say it was lucky that Schumacher broke his legs, but still, you get what I'm saying. Irvine would not have been in that position otherwise, although I suppose it is similar because it is still a driver who everyone expected to be the second driver, coming through to take the lead at Ferrari, although, very different circumstances to 99.
And another circumstance that kind of works in this case is 1994. Damon Hill was the second driver at Williams. But then Ayrton Senna was killed in Imola,
Yeah,
and he was basically promoted to team lead.
yeah, definitely.
Again-
Driver promotions have happened in the past. Although, you're talking about like injury and death and extreme situations like that. Those drivers didn't really turn the tables. They were put in those positions because they inherited the team lead basically. Charles Leclerc hasn't inherited anything. He's properly fought for it.
And honestly, I think my Even Capelli comparison from earlier this season, boy, I got that wrong. And I'm going to eat my words now.
Anyway,
Enjoy. Bon appetit.
Well, I've been eating my words as well because I thought this might be Sebastian Vettel's last one. Should we talk about NASCAR now? Because
boring. I'm joking.
I mean, I think it could have had a career.
This one wasn't.
It could, in another life, could have had a very successful career as a sports car driver.
All I can say about the Roval, wow.
That would actually be from Chase Elliott. That would probably be one of the greatest recovery drives of all time.
From him, at least, yeah. I remember actually. It kind of reminds me of the 1991 fall race at Martinsville, when Harry Gant was leading. He was involved in a late race crash. He came back to win the race in a car missing like half of its bodywork.
Duct tape
came back to win.
Duct tape
does.
Yeah, duct tape does fix everything.
It's the official tape of Canada.
Okay, so Chase Elliott, fantastic drive from him. Absolutely awesome race. I do also want to say, though, what was Alex Bowman doing? Did he seriously turn somebody for flipping him off? I mean,
well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but yes. He was upset at Bubba Wallace for blocking him, and he'd had enough, and flipping him off, and the like. And he had enough. And coming out of the chicane, coming out of the backstretch chicane, he just basically hooked him.
You did that in another motorsport where you would actually, get roasted for doing that. I mean, why? I don't know why.
And then Bubba, I'm sorry, but that was throwing a water bottle at someone throwing water at someone who's getting medical attention is beyond juvenile. It's beyond infantile and immature. Like, seriously, I'm not having that.
I haven't seen any of that, so what actually happened there?
So Bubba Wallace, basically Alex Bowman was getting medical attention after the race, because he was exhausted.
Yeah.
His drinks bottle had actually failed during the race. And you can imagine that, there's not much time on the Charlotte Roval to rest.
No, there wouldn't be.
Yeah, so basically, he was stuck, in a very hot car on a hot day with, very little opportunity to rest, even under caution. He didn't even get a water bottle under the red flag. Bubba Wallace comes running down pit road, or walking down pit road, sees Bowman sitting next to the door of his car.
When you say door, but anyway.
Well, and splashes him in the face with water. In what has to be one of the most infantile post-race moves I've ever seen.
Sorry, but that's very NASCAR.
My only excuse for that is that he didn't know what was happening with Bowman. The explanation for that, because I don't know why you do that. Right, so quite immature from both drivers, then I suppose.
And I have to say, I remember actually when the Roval was announced for the 2018 season, I was skeptical. But 2 years later, I can say this. I think we can all agree that it's more than delivered.
It has more than delivered. It's been absolutely fantastic. I love the racing of the Roval.
To the point where actually Jordan Taylor this week was actually doing a couple of laps around the oval in his DPI and saying,
apparently
you know,
that
why don't
footage
we
was
run
made.
that?
It was made in 2011.
No, it was 2017 when they were running the when they were basically doing endurance testing for the DPI.
Okay.
But all I can say is, it goes back to my original point that I made last week. All-Star IndyCar race, or Robert Challenge IndyCar race, Cup race, then IMSA race in prime time on NBC. You've hit a home run there. NASCAR?
The NASCAR
SMI,
Roval.
pay me.
The NASCAR Roval was actually the race that sort of got me into NASCAR, and now I'm playing Heat 4 almost every day now. I haven't been playing it the last couple of days because my left hand hurts from steering left all the time, but
try the Roval. Actually, how does the Roval handle in Heat 4?
I haven't driven it a lot, but I mean, like, it's difficult to actually make any sound judgment about it because I don't know my way around there. You'd actually learn the place first and then make a decision. And then also, like, I haven't driven NASCARs on a road, stock cars on a road course that much in really anything, so I don't really have any reference. But I'd say road course racing feels pretty cool in the game. I've driven around Motorsport in the trucks a couple of times, a couple of goes in the Xfinity as well. So I'd say, yeah, road course racing is pretty fun. Should we move on to the feature stories?
Yeah.
I love that noise that you just made.
Yeah.
All right.
Formula One. Right, there have been talks of a new Spanish team linked to Formula 2 team Campos. Adrian Campos, the team's boss, who was involved with HRT before the team went under, and intends to capitalise off the new regulations and enter the sport in 2021. The team would be in partnership with Monaco Increased Management, and according to the team, Pascal Wehrlein and Alex Paulu would be potential drivers. Right, I have a few points about this. Firstly, Formula One released a statement saying they're not in serious talks with any potential new teams. However, it is quite early, so I wouldn't expect them to be yet. Secondly, it's relatively unusual for a team to announce their drivers this soon, and I think a lot can change before then. So I certainly don't think the team would be as they're talking about it now. Thirdly, I can't see them being competitive. Campos doesn't really have that much of a budget, even compared to like other F2 teams, doesn't really tend to do that well, with all due respects to Campos. So to be honest, it'd be nice, and I think it's doable, although it really does depend on a lot of factors, and they're gonna have to find some insane sponsorship.
And also, isn't this also Adrian Campos's like third attempt to try and make a an F1 team? Because I know he tried in 2010. Then he, I think, either sold the equipment to HRT or sold the assets to HRT, or he was HRT.
He sold HRT. He made it and then instantly sold it.
Yeah, it used to be actually Campos F1. If I remember right.
One of the 6 new teams that entered the 2010 series, and 3 ended up on the entry list. Yeah.
The others being Stefan and US F1.
Good memory, yeah.
which of course make toasters now.
Wait, is that actually real?
Yeah, USF1 makes toasters.
I remember there was another one who were intending to be on the entry list as well, and that was they didn't actually enter in the end, although it was a team known as Superfund, which was set up by Alex Wirtz, and you know they never even made the entry list, so don't worry about them.
The reason they said that Pascal Wehrlein would be a potential driver on this new team is that Pascal Wehrlein is still in the Campos stable, but because Campos, they run the Mahindra Formula E team, so Pascal Wehrlein, he's still sort of in that circle. And also with the team, it wouldn't just be Campos, obviously. Crease management and Monaco and Crease management, I've looked into it a little bit. It's like a sort of motorsport company. I don't know how big it is, so it's based in Monaco, so good chance that it might be quite rich, so that might bring in some money as well. And well, we also mentioned, or did we mention, anyway, yes, that's that.
Wasn't Lola also considered to run in 2010 as well?
I am not sure, to be
I
honest.
seem to remember Lola being on the short list.
Yes, I should also mention that that Campos isn't the only one interested in going into Formula One in 2021. There's also another team called, I believe, Pantera Asia F1. I believe that's the full name. They've been talking
good.
about
So the
it.
rock group Pantera is going to be starting a Formula One team.
That would be excellent.
But,
Like,
I mean,
Death metal in Formula One.
well, we're already having Kiss on the side of a supercar, so it's not that far-fetched.
Sorry?
Move on to IndyCar.
Okay.
Can I just say
you're okay, Chris.
that I
You're
think that
dying
I
back there.
tore out my vocal cords doing that?
Oh no,
This is no longer
I put-
alive.
I said in death metal.
Away we go.
That's amazing. Anyway,
Yes. Just getting a drink.
why can't I'm trying to send Discord messages and they won't send. Like, I still have internet because I can still hear you. That's weird.
Which probably...
Alright, so here's the Formula One, we just talked about that. IndyCar news. Although it is called Formula Indy in Brazil.
Huh.
IndyCar fans have gotten their first ever glimpse of the new Aeroscreen for 2020. Over the past few years, IndyCar has tested a windshield and have released a rendering for the Halo windshield hybrid known as the Aeroscreen. The device was designed to protect against blows to the driver's head. The safety innovation came after the death of drivers such as Dan Weldon and Justin Wilson. This week, IndyCar tested the Aeroscreen at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with Scott Dixon and Will Power taking to the track. Neither driver reported issues with visibility, handling, or head buffeting, and the test was deemed a success. While most fans are very happy with the protective benefits of the Aeroscreen, opinions regarding the device's aesthetics have been mixed. While the Aeroscreen is arguably quite graceful from the side view, it has a towering and bulky presence from the front. However, the criticisms that the Aeroscreen is receiving are no different to that of the Halo in Formula One 2 years ago. The opinions of the Halo remained contested until Fernando Alonso flew over the top of Charles Leclerc's Alfa Romeo at the Belgian Grand Prix the same year. We saw the views of the skeptical fans sway significantly once we saw the Halo in actual proper action. And can I just say, this is not the first time they've used a sort of windscreen in IndyCar. Back in the early 80s, in fact, I believe 1984, the driver's compartment was actually lower down in the chassis, and there was actually kind of a bolster, but with a giant windscreen protecting the drivers.
Right.
All I can say is this. I don't get the aesthetic issues. Like, to me, it looks fine. It
Yeah.
looks like a halo with a piece of Lexan over it.
So for me,
But that's fine.
firstly, I actually don't notice the halo anymore. When I'm watching Formula One, they just look like Formula One cars. You know, it doesn't stick out or anything like that. And yeah, like if I think about it, I see it, but I've got used to it. And with the IndyCar Aeroscreen, to be honest, yeah, I agree. It doesn't look, you know, okay, it doesn't look great, and I think it looks sleeker without it. But like, you know, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Especially, a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying it looks better from the side. I actually think it looks worse from the side. It looks really like jagged. But anyway, yeah, I've seen windscreens and things like that on single seaters before. It's nothing new really, and you know, I just hope that it works. I would like to point out though, I really don't like when people bring up the Charles Leclerc Fernando Alonso incident, because the halo did not save him in that situation. Like, I'm not against the halo or anything. I think it's a really great innovation, but I do wish people would bring up a situation where the halo has actually helped. Like, for example, when Brendan Hartley submarined under the barriers at Silverstone. I believe that's a much better testament to the halo's strength than the Charles Leclerc one, since if the halo wasn't there, Alonso would have just sailed straight over the top of Leclerc and, you know, wouldn't have touched his head at all. People think that it would have done, it wouldn't.
And I will say, like, the main point, the main takeaway from the test is that this new Aeroscreen works as long as it protects the driver from serious injury. Isn't that what really matters in the grand scheme of things? It doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter how it the only thing that matters really is how it performs in an incident.
Yeah, totally.
How it protects a driver. And isn't that, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing about this new Aeroscreen?
People say that the racing
Yes, it is.
should
But
be...
however, it still has been left open to criticisms about the appearance, because obviously people are comparing it now to the windscreen design we saw earlier, and also to the renderings of it that we first saw, the Red Bull ones that they released a little while ago. So the thing is that everyone thought, wow, that actually looks really good. I wouldn't mind seeing that on the car. But then, like, we saw it in real life, we saw it from the front. It just looks really, really tall. It's like a brick wall on the front of the car.
Very true. It does look better in the renders than it does in real life. I have 2 points though. Firstly, the reason they couldn't put a halo on an IndyCar is because when they're going around ovals, drivers tend to look upwards rather than inwards for the corners, so the halo would be a visual problem, basically. It would restrict the vision. Also, so that's why they've gone for a windscreen instead, so the bar in front of the driver can be much thinner. Secondly, I think that one of the main arguments against like head protection and things is that racing should be gladiatorial, and it should be that there is an element of danger. However, totally, I agree. The fact is, racing is gladiatorial. There is already a big element of danger. Of course there is. You know, the Indy cars, how fast they go, I think they've got a top speed of about 240
20.
sometimes. Although around Indy it's usually an average speed of like 228 or something. So yeah, ridiculous speeds. Like, that is dangerous. I don't care what you think. That is, drivers, that if you have a crash at those speeds, you are not going to walk away unscathed. There's going to be broken bones and things. So, it is dangerous, but death is too far. Death, you know the psychological factors involved in death. No one actually wants that to be a factor. So yeah, danger is still a big part of motorsport, but when you have to,
As we've already seen this season.
when you have to sacrifice drivers to make it more, exciting, I don't really think it does anyway. You don't notice it, do you? Like, just, let the safety officials do their thing.
Yeah. Also, I want to say yes, thank you for bringing up the Halo thing because, I'm pretty sure since Robert Wickens' crash, everyone's saying, "Why don't they have the Halo?" And all the keyboard bashers saying, "Why don't they have the Halo?" And then we try
That
and
would
explain
not
to
have
them.
helped Robin Wickens.
Wickens hit the catch fence with the floor of the car. It
Exactly,
wouldn't have
and
even helped Dan Weldon, in fact, because his car actually hit the crossbar of the fence.
Yeah, so
Hit the extra the catch fence support arm. So it would not have. He would have sadly been killed anyway.
so anyway,
like-
the IndyCar Aeroscreen, not great, not awful. Let's hope it saves lives.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
as long as there's cars on track and people are as safe as they can be, that's fine with me. I would go more into keyboard bashing, but I think we've already said enough. I mean, there's keyboard bashing on both sides of the argument here. Should we move on to Formula E?
Yes, let's move on to Formula E, where James Calado has joined the Jaguar team for this coming season of Formula E, obviously. The British driver is best known for driving with AF Corsa in the WEC, however he's also served as a test driver for Force India in Formula 1. He finished third in GP2 in 2013 before joining the Ferrari GT Pro team in 2014. He would then go on to win the championship in 2017 with the team, as well as the 24 Hours of Le Mans that same year. This year. It doesn't say this year, but anyway. Calado will be joining Mitch Evans on the Jaguar lineup, as well as Sam Bird as an AF Corsa driver on the Formula E grid. However, despite all of that, I best remember James Calado for a pole position he took at Silverstone in the World Series by Renault, because I remember going over to basically where the cars were parked, so like Parc Fermé, and seeing him climbing out of his car and celebrating. So that's a in-person memory of James Calado. But anyway, yeah, he's going to Formula E. Don't think it'll make much difference to Formula E as a whole. I know that's kind of disrespectful of me to say, but it's true. Good for him, I suppose.
Yeah,
That actually caught me by surprise.
I mean, the thing is with Formula E is you don't know who's going to be joining these teams because, as we've said before, there isn't really an established pool of drivers to take from. So you kind of just have to take, you have to just try and take drivers from wherever you can.
Reminds me of when Adam Carroll joined Formula E. He's been through some very similar things to Adam Carroll in terms of the series he's driven and stuff, and I think it came as much of a surprise as Adam did, although hopefully he'll do a bit better than Carroll did.
Right. I also have some other Formula E news here. So, a few changes have been made to the Formula E calendar for 2019 and 2020. Hong Kong has been booted from the Formula E calendar after months of civil unrest in the Special Administrative Region. Since June, literally millions of people have taken to the city streets in protest against controversial legislation that would mean those convicted of crimes in Hong Kong would be extradited to mainland China and Taiwan, and I think also Macau is one of those places as well. This means that Marrakesh will return to the calendar for another year. However, the cancellation of the Hong Kong race is only expected to last 1 year. The to-be-confirmed slot on the 14th of December is no longer on the calendar because it clashed with the WEC race in Bahrain. The other to-be-confirmed slot has now been filled by the Sanya E-Prix. However, despite saying that they were going to fix it, it still clashes with the WEC race at Sebring.
No!
This is This
Because
is
they
a
can't do anything right.
this is a problem for quite a significant portion of the field, as 7 of the 20, correct me if I'm wrong, 7 of the 21 confirmed drivers, so literally a third of the confirmed drivers drive full-time in the WEC.
They're gonna have to sort that out. They can't keep that like it is.
The 2019-20 calendar features 14 races across 12 cities, and I just want to make a point about the Sanyeri Prix. Okay, first of all, it clashes with the WEC race at Sebring. Now, how many of the 21 confirmed drivers race in the WEC? 7. How many of the confirmed drivers race full time in either Formula One or Indycar? Precisely none. So that's why it should be moved to the previous weekend, which would only clash with the Australian Grand Prix and the opening Indycar race, which would be a problem for none of the drivers. And I mean, they had so many opportunities to fix this, and they didn't.
That's
and now
going to be
they've just screwed over so many
Yeah,
people.
they can't keep it
They
as
have
it
to
is.
change that.
Well, what was it you were saying? You mentioned. Yeah, I remember the message chain you sent me last night.
Today, yeah.
You said, "Sorry, who the hell makes the calendars for Formula E?" And I responded, "Someone who is French and has the IQ of a comatose ant."
The thing is with this, though, right? All of these championships, apart from IndyCar, they're all in the same organization, the FIA. So why, when they were making the calendars, were they not talking to each other? Because there's a lot of crossover.
I think Alexander Agag, I think he's gone off his rock. I think he's gone off his rocker, and I think there may need to be some managerial changes at Formula E, because
he does is just say, "No, I don't care about what the rest of you are doing. I only care about what we're doing." I mean, just okay. 7 of the 21 confirmed. That is literally a third. And then also, you don't know who else on that grid is going to want to go and do it. Because I know Nick DeFries, he's been driving a lot with Ginetta, so he might want to go and race at Sebring. And now he can't because this has screwed everything up.
Yeah.
Or maybe there'll be considerable blowback.
I'd assume so. I mean, think about what happened at Fuji. Well, the Fuji race a couple of years ago. Oh, no, that wasn't a couple of... Was that? No, it was last year. Yes. I mean, there was a lot of stuff from that. But I don't know. The thing is, the problem with street circuits is if you get a date locked in and you're going to have to do all the infrastructure stuff, you're going to work on it. I mean, it's going to be more difficult than a circuit to change the date of it. It's ridiculous, actually.
Move it to the week after. There. Problem solved.
And this is... I mean, that's like... So, AF Corsa... that's 2 of their drivers.
Oh goodness!
That's 2 of their drivers, James Collado and Sam Bird. They're going to be committed to the Sanyeri Prix. Now, I wouldn't move the Sanyeri Prix to the weekend afterwards. I'd move it to the weekend before, because I believe if you move the Sanyeri Prix forward, it actually clashes with another E Prix, and you can't be in 2 different countries at once. So.
And where is...
Sanya is in China, by the way. If that's what you were about to ask.
Okay, well, drop it then. Problem solved.
Well, I don't think it's that simple.
Wait a minute, Sanya, that was the one with the horrendous track layout. Oh wait, that's every E-Prix, but
not every E-Prix.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the London E-Prix is going to be the only circuit that actually stands out this season, so it doesn't really matter what's on the calendar.
Haven't they dropped Mexico as well? I'm going to just double check that. That's annoying if they've dropped Mexico, because Mexico was by far the best circuit.
Because it was an actual circuit.
Oh yes, Mexico's back. Mexico's back. Never mind. Okay, I'm fine. So we can all just skip the rest of the season, and then. Oh, and they're actually finishing the season in London. So the New York E-Prix is no longer a doubleheader. They only have 1 race, and so the London E-Prix will actually be hosting 2 races. So Caitlin, I'm not sure if you'll go to that. But,
I'd like to, but it's probably going to be expensive, and I don't see that as value for money, unfortunately. So probably not. But we'll see.
Yeah, this is, I believe, the
You know, if I can afford to go, then I
One.
certainly will. But I'm not holding my breath.
Also, okay, so here's the full calendar. So we're starting off with a double header in Adiria, which Adiria is actually quite a good track. I like Adiria. Then we're going to Santiago, which is not a good track from memory.
No.
Mexico, which is a brilliant track. Marrakesh, another good one. Sanya, pretty bad. Rome, don't really remember anything about Rome. Don't remember anything about Paris, which is the race following that. Seoul, that's a new one. That remains to be seen. Jakarta, that also remains to be seen. Berlin is a very good track. That's round 11. That comes after the
Well,
Jakarta Grand Prix.
I wouldn't say
New
it's
York-
good, but
Might be the most meh track on the whole calendar. And then we're finishing off with the London E-Prix, which is around 13 and 14. That also remains to be seen because they have changed the circuit for the London E-Prix, and it actually has an underground section, if I remember correctly,
Really?
for this year. Yes, it does.
it has an indoor
There's an
section.
all
I
I
know
can
that.
say is, I love the fact that there's an indoor section. There's just something about like road circuits being like street circuits going indoors that actually kind of fascinates me a little bit. Like,
Yeah, no, I like that.
it
What do you
reminds
think
me
of
actually of the. Remember the Bercy karting race that they held every year?
No?
The one that had all the F1 drivers competing at the end of the season. The
Reminds you of that. Well, I've done kart races indoors and things, although, you know, actual cars indoors. I'm surprised that we don't see it more often, and I think we probably will in the future.
The thing is with petrol-powered cars is that all the carbon
true.
dioxide get... Yeah, so... But that's the good thing with electric cars, because they don't have any emissions. Also, I just want to say, reason I said... it reminds me of SpongeBob because indoors. I think you'll remember that from
I have no idea
One
what
of
you're
the
talking about,
episodes. Chris,
because I've
do you
never watched SpongeBob, but okay.
the episode I'm talking
all I
about.
can say is sweet victory should have been played at the Super Bowl.
Let's not start that again.
I've been waiting 8 months.
Sweet victory.
I'm fairly sure we brought this up on another episode. I really do not want to bring this up again. Should we move
No,
on
we
to
didn't. Surprisingly.
We did. I remember talking about it. We're not talking about the Super Bowl again. Should we move on to IMSA?
Yes.
Excellent,
The
because
good old IMS of A.
Yes.
I'm calling it that for. I'm calling it that from now on. Anyway, so Corvette have unveiled the new C8R GTLM car. The car was unveiled at the Kennedy Space Center alongside the road-going C8 Stingray convertible. The C8R is obviously significantly different to the car it succeeds, with a new mid-engine design philosophy. We also finally get to see the car in full livery after months of seeing it in zebra testing camouflage. The banana livery is gone in favor of a new silver scheme with yellow accents, apparently a nod to the 1973 Aerovette and the 1959 Corvette Stingray Racer. Both cars were done in a silver livery. There are also rumors that the C8R will receive a new set of pilots, with Jan Magnussen possibly being ousted by Cadillac star Jordan Taylor. And I think racing enthusiasts across the world will need some time alone with the images of the Corvette.
I think it's a beautiful piece of kit.
It's a beautiful thing.
It actually, the livery kind of reminds me of the, and I was talking to a friend of mine about this. It reminds me of the Robertson Racing Ford GT that ran in the American Le Mans series years ago. It's a beautiful piece of kit. And genuinely, I love that livery. and I love that car. And I think hopefully it's going to do well in IMSA this year, and yeah, because like I don't know about you guys, but I think it's a beautiful car. It's a beautiful car and a wonderful piece of kit.
Yeah, a lot
The
of people
car-
have been saying that it doesn't look like a Corvette. I think maybe from some of the angles that we've seen it doesn't, but to be honest, no, I think it looks great. From the front and the rear, it's obviously a Corvette, and I like the way that they haven't gone over the top with it. It's very tempting for supercar manufacturers these days to go very over the top with their cars and go like make them look juvenile, because it's all like, hey, we can make cars look futuristic and stuff, and it just looks like something out of a cartoon. You've seen that a lot from Bugatti, from Lamborghini,
Pagani.
from Pagani. That's not futuristic, that's just juvenile. Whereas with the Corvette, it actually looks like a futuristic supercar without being it's subtle. Well, okay.
Being bulky,
As
yeah.
okay,
You know what it-
as subtle as a many 100 horsepower Corvette can be, but you know what I mean.
You know what it looks like? It looks mean.
Yeah.
It looks aggressive. I like the aggressive lines on it, especially the headlights. They actually, like, it looks almost menacing, and I can't wait to see what it looks like at night, honestly. And
Oh wow.
I kind of hope that they can do a good wrench throwback livery at Daytona. That would be really cool to see. The old good wrench colors from the 1999 C5R.
I have a couple
And-
more points. So, obviously, this car will start its competitive life at the Rolex 24, and I remember them saying that it might also be racing at Super Sebring. Also, the reason that we're seeing a lot of cars look more aggressive is because the design language of cars has significantly changed over the past couple of years. People have moved towards a more aggressive design, and yeah, it's the new Corvette, and well, obviously, some people don't. People don't really like change in the automotive industry. I mean, people, obviously, the die-hard Corvette fans, a lot of them don't like the fact that it's mid-engined. However, mid-engined, it has been proven to be a lot better than front-engined because it's just has way better weight distribution, and the road-going version at least should be probably a lot better than its predecessors, despite the fact that the Stingray only has 400 brake horsepower, but will be more powerful versions of that car eventually coming out. But yeah, it's the new Corvette, looks absolutely fantastic, and we'll be seeing it race next year.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how it handles.
Pretty good, actually. Should we move on to the last feature story of the day, because this is one that you'll very much like, Chris.
Oh, this happened on my birthday, actually. This was unveiled.
Oh, yes, happy birthday
Mazda-
for Chris during the week. We should say happy 31st from Motorsport
Yes.
recently.
Sorry.
Freya Edwards is in chat. She says hey and waves at us.
Hey Freya,
Thank you
how
very
you
much,
doing?
Hi, Freya.
Thank you very much, Freya. Anyway, right.
Yeah, and the week just went. The bottom fell out of it.
Right.
But I'm not gonna divulge into it, but all I can say is, rest in peace, old reliable camera is dead.
In peace, camera.
She has a name. Old reliable.
name.
Anyway,
Old reliable,
Um,
stop being reliable. Sorry.
sadly, yes.
Should get into the good news.
Who can say?
Okay,
Actually,
good news.
transitions.
Good news. Chris, good news. Good
Yes,
news. Ah!
Mazda has unveiled the new Mazda 3 TCR that will begin its competitive life in the 2020 IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge.
My grandparents have a Mazda
Car
3.
was
It's not a TCR spec one,
do
though.
they?
Yeah, but not a TCR spec one, obviously.
Is it a Speed 3?
I don't think so. I think it's just a Mazda 3.
Or an MPS as it's known in Europe?
I think it's just a Mazda 3.
I love those things. The car was developed by Long Range Racing, who are responsible for the hugely successful MX-5 Cup cars. The car is kitted out with all the TCR essentials, including a 350 horsepower turbo four-pot engine and a 6-speed paddle shift gearbox. And now we all have permission to talk about and salivate over the Mazda. Because it's Mazda, as Jack has put it.
I haven't seen it yet. Do you have a link to where I can see, like, a picture of it or something?
Just search up Mazda 3 TCR and it looks very nice.
Okay, I will do after this level of Bloons Tower Defense. I'm on round 19.
And actually, they have named...
Playing? Oh my gosh.
They've actually named their first ever driver for it.
Okay.
I saw this, but I can't remember who it is.
It's the global MX-5 Cup champion Brian Ortiz, who has been given the call to run the Mazda, to run the first Mazda.
I don't recognise the name, but I'm just looking up the car now. That's got some serious splitter overhang on the front. Goodness me! If you ever know, nudge someone out the way with that, oh my word! It's like a bulldozer.
And we're also expecting the Mazda 3 TCR to find its way to Australia for the Australian TCR Championship because, teams will have to order them from the US, but we might be seeing some Mazdas on the Australian TCR field as well.
Yeah.
Apparently they
I'd
are
love to see it in the world
eligible.
TCR.
Looks great, but really bulky.
That's just the Mazda. That's just the way the Mazda 3 normally looks.
Can I just say, Mazda, with their new sort of design language that they've implemented in over the past couple of years, and I know we've been talking about a lot of road car stuff and a lot of road car design languages and whatever, but I love Mazda's new design language that they have implemented over the past couple of years. It's very Japanese. It's very, very classy and very, very cool. And we've also been able to see that same design language carried over onto the DPI cars, and now we're going to be seeing it on Mazda 3.
Oh, the DPI car looks mean. That's what it looks like. The DPI looks absolutely beautiful.
I think you'll agree with me that it is the best it is the best looking DPI car in the field.
Oh, absolutely.
It just is. Yeah, well, if you're
second, I may be a minority, but second being the Acura.
I don't know. I actually really like the Orca. I've always been the Ligier. I've always been a Ligier fan.
Oh yeah, the Nissan.
Yeah, I think the Nissan Ligier is. I actually think that's the best looking car on the grid. Sorry, Mazda.
I like that in Patron livery actually. That was when it looked its best.
Although I did like it in the Electromotive throwback livery from this year for Core, but all I can say is this. Mazda 3, I cannot wait to see that thing race at Daytona, on the high banks at Daytona. That is, like, during the 4-hour race they have on the Friday. Because that thing will look absolutely menacing out there on the high banks. Plus, because it's a Mazda, it can punch such a big hole in the air that it may be an effective, very effective car as far as drafting goes.
So I've pretty much only seen the TCRs really in the Australian TCR Championship, and in Australia at least, the Hyundais are probably, well, not by far the best car, but they are the best TCR car. In fact, people have struggled to challenge the Hyundais all season.
And that's last year's car.
It is last year's car. So is that the same in the US? Do the Hyundais win all the time?
No.
I suppose the
they
ends of
actually
BOP is
follow
different.
they have a BOP in not just IMSA, but also and to quote someone from GT Hub, picked that name up. To quote Forza R18, picked that name up. Blank Stare Pain World Touring GT Challenge Series thing presented by Pirelli thing. They tend to have their own BOP as well. They actually follow the international BOP for TCR. That's why you don't see like that's why in the World Touring Car Championship you don't see like Lincoln Co. dominating every single race, or you don't see Hyundai dominating the series it competes in, or like that's why you see like different varied winners.
So, how do we think the Mazda's gonna do?
I hope quite well.
Pretty much exactly the same as the others, since TCR tends to be a very, very even category.
I
Very
think
true.
it'll have a bit of an advantage at Daytona, because as I said before, if it's as bulky as it looks, it'll be very effective on the high banks. And remember, a couple years ago, a Mazda actually won the Street Tuner class. It was a Mazda 3 of all things. It won the what was then known as the Street Tuner Street Tuner class.
I've never seen a tuner on the street, or even out of water for that matter.
Tuner, not tuna.
What's the difference
yeah.
between a fish and a piano?
There's a difference between a fish and piano.
You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
That was.
I was making a point, and that was
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
the groans that are happening at the moment.
Sorry.
The groaning.
Which is bulkier? Which is bulkier, the big Mazda or the big Mate?
The big Mazda.
Mazda's
Oh, really?
big Mate.
Like, but as I was saying, it pulled up in the draft because it cut such a big hole in the air. Klein Newbing ran around the outside in the tri-oval and beat his competitor by, I think, about a few feet. And I think it'll be very effective, especially at Daytona.
Actually, now I think about it, it's quite similar in shape to the Mark Mazdas that we've seen, and those they've been all right. So
I thought they were retiring the Marks, the first generation Marks.
well, the Mazda 3s, I mean, they've done pretty well in the past. It's basically the same sort of shape, except slightly newer. It's a proven shape, so it should work pretty well. I'm not sure whether to support Alfa Romeo or Mazda now. This is difficult.
Yes.
Anyway,
That's the correct answer. Yes.
okay, very good. Shall we move on to our final segment of the day?
Oh, yeah. Can you stall the time a bit so I can finish this level before I get the jingles up?
Oh goodness! What are you playing? Balloon Tower Defense?
Yeah, Balloon Tower Defense 3. I'm on round 30.
Are you able to pause?
Yeah. Okay, done. Right. Oh no, I closed the folder for the jingles. Okay, jingles open. Right, got it. What's the next jingle?
It's time for. Now the ending.
Miscellaneous stories and points that we missed and therefore covering idea.
Give us a second, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be.
Jack, You
With
just
Unison,
talked
yes.
right the way over the jingle. Right, let me play it again.
Miscellaneous stories and points that we missed and therefore recovering now TM.
You want me to play it one more time just so they get the picture?
You're right.
Okay, right. Now, miscellaneous stories and points that we missed and therefore recovering now TM. Bing, go ahead.
Right, so we start off with some Formula E news. Simona Di Silvestro has become a test driver for Porsche.
Nice.
Also, the Nissan Altima, which bearing
I love how we just glossed over that. I love how we just. I love how you just Dacia Sandero that story.
Well, the fact is, when it comes to test drivers, they do a lot of work for the team, and very 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 valuable work. But it goes on behind the scenes, so there's not really much you can say about it because there's not much that you know about it. So yeah, Silvestro has a lot of racing experience. She's probably got a lot of valuable feedback. But I mean, what else do you expect us to say?
I mean, I suppose she is still related to the Nissan Altima, which means we can talk about the Nissan Altima. So, the Nissan Altima, which, bear in mind, is a very old car now. It's been racing... I mean, it's basically the same car since 2000... Well, it's basically been the same car since 2012. Meanwhile, the Commodore has been updated several times since that car started racing, and the Ford Falcon has morphed itself into a Ford Mustang. So, much like the...
Volvo.
That's not going to happen, is it? So, much like the Commodores did at Pukekohe, the Nissans will be receiving aero tweaks for the Bathurst 1000. However, I think the Nissans effectively, they are borderline historic race cars now. I don't even know why those cars are still racing, but they're still there, and I believe they're relatively popular with fans because they're a Nissan. And, well, they're still there, and they're getting aero tweaks, which will probably do a grand total of nothing, because Scott McLaughlin, or one of the Fords, will win anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, oi! We don't know that for sure.
Either it'll be one of the Fords... Either that...
It's Bathurst.
Okay, it'll be either one of the Fords, or...
It'll be one of the cars on the grid that wins at Bathurst because the mountain picks no one. The mountain does not play favorites.
Suppose it doesn't.
Glenn Seaton was a total lock to win the 95 race, and he blew the engine. He lost a cylinder and then blew the motor in the final few laps. The mountain waits for no one.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if Matt Stone Racing can win. Okay, I'll be rooting on 3 cars, actually, at the Bathurst 1000. I'll be rooting for 3 cars. I'll be going for the 55, which is Chaz Mostert, and whoever he's driving with, I don't actually know, but then I'll be rooting for Hinch and Rossi.
Yeah.
In the Napa Know-How car, obviously. And
Wild card.
He's sort of rooting for Todd Hazelwood, and I don't remember who his co-driver is now. I remember Bryce Fullwood. He's left Matt Stone now, and he's racing for one of the Nissan teams in Super 2. But, racing with... Yeah. That's basically... Nissan's received aero changes, and it'll probably do a grand total of nothing.
He will be... It appears as though the, Mostert will be with James Moffat in the number 55.
Yes, alright, okay. Very good.
Scott McLaughlin will be with Alex Prema. The 888 car will be,
Lounsey!
Yep, Lounsey in the special Brock paint scheme. There's going to be also a Kostecki Brothers number 56, a ZB Commodore, for Brody and Jay Kostecki. And just trying to check if there's any others.
Anyway, right, so that's that. Bathurst 1000 is next weekend, by the way, and that should be very good, and I'll be able to watch it from a poolside, so life is good, I suppose. We have some
It's always
IndyCar
good.
news.
It's Bathurst. Yes, Connor Daly is no longer in the running for the McLaren IndyCar seat.
He did say that himself, actually, so apparently there's a list that McLaren has drivers on it,
And he's not on it.
Well, apparently he's not at the top of the list, which probably means he won't be getting the drive, but... Well, in the words of T'Challa from War, except change its shield to car, somebody get this man a car. But, Connor Daly deserves a drive. Somebody give him a car. Give him something. He's a good driver, and he deserves a chance.
And on McLaren, I'm still of the belief that James Hinchcliffe actually teased this on his Instagram. He said, "Looking forward to season 2 with ME." During one of his comments, and I'm like, okay, so that must mean what I think it means.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't even I'm not. Marcus Ericsson, he's done relatively. I'm not sure if the reason that always been at the front is that just because of their lack of budget compared to the rest of the big teams, or is it down to their drivers? I mean, I know they have talented drivers, but I mean, Schmidt-Peterson.
No, they've just had bad luck.
Right. So
plus,
if you put Hinchcliffe and
Penske
Ericsson,
keeps undercutting.
So if you put Hinchcliffe and Ericsson in fully funded McLaren, Schmidt-Peterson, Chevy equipment, are they going to do really well, or just for the past few years?
Well,
I mean, are we expecting them to be well out of the gate, or
they already have been? Like Marcus Ericsson this season has actually genuinely impressed me, especially on the ovals.
It's always
because you don't ordinarily. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's always hard to tell if a team's going to be good in IndyCar, but I did kind of interrupt you there, so you carry on. Sorry.
Like, you don't, you gotta, I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm
Marcus
so sorry,
Ericsson.
Chris. That's okay. But he has actually genuinely impressed me this season, and, I think it would actually be kind of silly if they let him go.
Yeah.
Because he's a pretty decent he's a pretty decent he's a pretty decent shoe, and
I mean, that's all fun and games until Alfa Romeo say, "Oh, Kimi Raikkonen's a bit sore. Can you please come and be at this race and not drive anything?"
yeah, that was a dumb decision by Alpha, honestly. Like,
I suppose the Schmidt-Petersons were wiped out in the first corner anyway at Portland, so...
But we don't know they would have
didn't even
been...
get a chance.
We don't know that they would have been if Ericsson had been involved, because he may have been ahead of that or behind that.
He's pretty quick.
Yeah, he is actually quite quick.
Like, he's pretty quick.
He got a podium in Detroit. I'm not sure if he got another one, but he did. He's got a podium in his first season. I mean, that's no bad thing. So,
Anyway.
Yeah, he finished second in the second race at Detroit.
Yes, so we have some WEC news as well. And, well, Chris, I'll let you tell us about that.
Yes. In preparation for the hypercar regulations that are coming, the LMP2 category chassis rules will be extended to the end of the 2022 season. Per their press release, It was also decided that this is beautiful.
I think it's not a news story, by the way. Just saying.
Per the FIA's press release, the WC's press release, the intended performance of these new hypercars was slightly revised to help reduce the costs, and in order to maintain consistency between the prototype categories, it was also decided to slightly reduce the performance level of the in LMP2. The changes for this privateer-led category, which continues to increase in popularity and success throughout the ACO's different Continental World Endurance Racing Championships, will benefit teams limiting additional costs. Orca. Sorry, I had a little tickle in my throat. In addition, the validity of the current LMP2 cars has been extended until the end of the 2021-2022 WC season and end of the 2022 LMS season, thus further amortizing the investment of teams and LMP chassis manufacturers, Orica. In order to achieve the performance reduction objectives for the LMP2 cars without incurring additional investment from competitors, the ACO and FIA technical teams will favor technical parameters that do not affect the homologation of the chassis. A likely example will be engine power. And that means that we'll see that means we'll see the current generation of LMP2 for one more season, past 2021.
I mean, it's been a good generation of LMP2, so I'm fine if it sticks around for a little while longer anyway.
And also, there's another piece of sports car news, this time from the ELMS. KEO Racing will be launching a 2020 LMP2 deal, running the X High Class Racing Dallara LMP2 car. High Class, of course, having moved to an Orica chassis like everybody else, in both LMS and WEC. This is from Daily Sports Car. Q Racing's statement refers to the team, quote, waiting for the possibilities of some updates of the car so we can be even more competitive, end quote. And we don't know drivers yet, but they have been running in the LMP3 class in ELMS. It's a Danish flag team. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to looking forward to seeing another Dallara running in the sea of Oricas that run in the series at the minute.
We have some NASCAR news.
Yes, Ally Insurance has extended their sponsorship deal with Hendrick Motorsports for the number 48 through the 2023 season. Even though Jimmy Johnson, the current driver, is only contracted to 2020. Now, I'm not quite sure exactly who's going to be taking his place or whether Johnson is going to stay, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly who will be driving the Ally car in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, Johnson, he's in a bit of a slump, and I'm assuming that Hendrick are waiting for that slump to end. But whatever the case, Ali have extended their sponsorship through to 2023, so the 48 will feature the pink logos for, well, at least a few more years.
I like
Actually,
the,
more
I
than a few
like
more
the
years, only
ally logo.
5 years. Actually, that's another 5 years that will be effective, essentially. Actually, no, wait. I've forgotten this wasn't 2018. It's 2019. 2020 is next year. That's not that far away. So we may as well. Okay, we should end off the day with some F3 and some F2 news. Caitlin, would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, indeed, both championships have been claimed, so we know exactly who has taken those. In Formula 2, my prediction for the title before this season started, Nick de Vries. Didn't I tell you he was going to win? Didn't I say that?
I think you did, but I
Yes, I
suppose we
did,
just sort
and
of
he did,
assumed.
so I am right, I am a genius, got it right, booyah. Yeah, so Nick de Vries has claimed the championship with 1 round, so 2 races still to go, which shows just the extent of my genius, with a win and a 2nd place at Sochi. Currently 2nd in the championship is Latifi, followed by Giotto, Sete Camara, and Aitken. So the first race was won by Latifi, was won by De Vries, followed by Latifi, and then Louis Delatraz in 3rd place. So that is what Delatraz is doing, Chris, before you jump in with a sneaky reference. And race 2 was won by Luca Giotto, followed by Nick de Vries, and Callum Eilert taking his 2nd podium of the season. So that was that, although it was also notable for an accident in race 2, where the leader going into turn 2, Nikita Mazepin, because he's not French, went off the road, and in rejoined far too quickly, went straight into the side of Nobuharu Matsushita and caused an absolutely monumental and very, very scary accident, for which I think he got away lightly. I can't remember what his penalty was, but it was very light. Something like a couple of license points and a fine or something. But whatever the case, it was a really stupid, very serious looking accident. And I'm just glad that Matsushita was okay. And meanwhile, in Formula 3, Robert Schwarzman, a driver who not many people have heard of yet, but I'm sure people will hear more of soon, actually claimed the championship on a home soil as a Russian. I see Robert Schwarzman as probably one of the most promising Russian drivers in the history of motorsports, if not the best, the most promising. He wrapped up the championship with a 2nd and a 3rd place. Winner of race 1 was Marcus Armstrong, followed by Schwarzman and then Carey. Winner of race 2 was Yuri Vips, followed by Marcus Armstrong and Robert Schwarzman. And the top 5 in the championship in the end, because there is no final round at Yas Marina for Formula 3, so that's it for Formula 3, is Robert Schwarzman, Marcus Armstrong, Jan Deruvala, Yuri Vips, and Pedro Piquet, and I'm expecting all of those to progress to Formula 2 for next season. So that was that. Of course, we still have 1 round to go of Formula 2, no more of Formula 3, and yeah, that was that.
And with De Vries is already going to be graduating to Formula E.
If you can call
next
that
year, yeah?
If you can call that a graduation, yeah.
And Latifi is isn't Latifi in talks for the Williams seat? Replacing Kubica?
Yeah, definitely. Latifi has done some free practices with Williams this year. I think that he is probably the heir to the Williams seat, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see him in that seat next year. I personally think he deserves it. I think that De Vries deserves a seat more, and I also think that Nico Hulkenberg, it would be gutting if he didn't get an F1 drive for next season. But, Latifi, I think he is good enough for Formula 1, and I think he's going to do a good job.
And who's the gentleman that's going to be running Friday practice next week in Japan for
For
Toro Rosso.
oh, I don't know, who is it? I haven't heard this yet.
I know exactly who it is. Naoki
Super Formula driver.
Yamamoto. Naoki
Yeah,
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto.
Naoki Yamamoto.
Yes, he is. His name slipped my mind. I don't know why.
He's
We even did a
Championship
story
leader,
about
I think, in Super Formula.
yeah,
I believe.
he's a double Super Formula champion. To be honest, I wouldn't be
He's a
surprised.
Super GT champion as well.
I wouldn't be surprised. Oh yeah, with Jensen Button. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, last year.
To see him in that Toro Rosso seat, because as we've already established, Red Bull have run out of drivers. So,
They're saying Naoki Yamamoto's too old.
well, yes, but then again, wasn't Brendan Hartley? I mean, yeah, okay, Brendan was in his 20s and Yamamoto is 31, but still, like, yeah, maybe he's too old, but what choice do they have? I suppose Pato Ward.
Yeah,
No.
I mean they could, but the thing is though, I think probably Red Bull and Toro Rosso are gonna keep their current drivers, but depending on where they stand within both teams remains to be seen. But I reckon they'll keep those drivers and not do anything with them unless they get very desperate and just keep doing the exact same thing over and over again and keep replacing their drivers, and it just doesn't work for anybody.
Because Red Bull loves to torpedo racing careers. Brandon Hartley, Jaime Alguersuari, etc.
Right. We'll move on to our couple of final two stories. So somebody's mentioned the T-Star 500.
Oh yeah, that's going on now. It's a 500 lap, not 500 mile or kilometer or anything like that, but 500 lap race at Spa-Francorchamps, the inaugural event for TCR cars. It's expected to take about 22 to 23 hours. I don't know why they didn't just make it a 24-hour race, but never mind.
It's already a Spa 24 hours.
Sorry? Yeah, true, but
4 hours.
they could have made this race a 24 hours as well, even if they didn't call it a
Technically, there's
24-hour
also
race.
a 20. Technically, there's also a 25-hour
There is.
race
Yeah, there is.
for the VW Fun Cup.
So yeah, it's going on now. Unfortunately, there is only 17 cars, and we've lost quite a few already. But that's okay. You know, it's their first race, and you know, endurance. I've seen fantastic endurance races with far fewer cars than that as well. So that's not too big of an issue. Currently, it's been quite an exciting race actually. A couple of twists and turns. The pole sitter was I think it was the 175 car. I can't remember who its drivers were, although that's already had a crash at the top of Ranion, so I'm afraid that's out of the race. There was another car that accelerated away at the start of the race, although used up its tyres too quickly, and they say that basically they didn't get enough run time to set the car up to conserve its tyres. So yeah, it's been quite unpredictable, and at the minute there's no commentary because it's overnight, although the commentators will return tomorrow, and I am looking forward to seeing the end.
Into the Mazda now, and it will still win.
Well, remember,
That's it.
actually, I still remember a few years ago the remember that 32-hour thing where basically they only started, I think, like 10 cars, but yet like 3/4 of them parked in the first hour.
Something like that.
So from 10 cars,
I went-
3/4 of those
oh my
cars
goodness.
parked it.
My last FX 2 race before my 6-month break was a 24-hour race with 17 entries. It was a touring car race. We were in VW Fun Cups, and 2 cars finished. And
I've had races. I had races like that on the original Project Cars. I used to do these like 1
Yeah.
hour. Well, when I say 1 hour enduros, they weren't really 1 hour. They weren't really endurance races, but whatever the case. I remember like at least 10 cars would start and like 2 or 3 would finish.
Well, this
at
was
most.
17 cars starting for a 24-hour race. 2 cars finished. And I'm afraid to say that my car was actually one of the first to retire. My teammates didn't even get a chance to drive, but it wasn't my fault. My game crashed, and we were out as a result of that. So, yeah. Boo-hoo.
I remember actually running a race in, and this is going to date me here, Grand Prix 2
Nice.
It was the 1992 mod for it, and I was driving a Williams. And they actually had this little option where you could change who was driving where. Like, change the roster around.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, only one car finished. It was old Nige.
Amazing.
I was leading the race in the second Williams as Martin Brundle, and blew up with a few laps to go.
Who crosses the line first? Does Nigel Mansell or his moustache cross the line first?
No, the mustache is actually about 5 laps ahead of everyone else. That's why it was so good back in the 80s and 90s. It was. That's why Nigel was so good. It was because of his moustache. When he shaved it off, he lost performance completely.
I love your impressions. That's amazing.
No matter, actually.
Anyway.
We'll finish up today. Is Lewis Hamilton going to Formula E? Well, we won't talk about it because there's a video about it. Go watch it.
No, he isn't.
Give me some views.
I don't think he ever will. That's nonsense. And I haven't even seen your video yet, but I am intending to watch it. Anyway.
Yes, but also, and Charles Leclerc wins 100 million.
Do you
What?
say that on camera? I do say that on camera in the video, as well as many other things.
Okay.
Minimal effort.
I think we should just end.
Yeah, this is nonsense, guys.
Happen to this show. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. If there's anybody who's actually listened to this point in the show, my name is Jack McKenzie, and joining me on the mic today has been the wonderful Chris Whitfield and Caitlin Penny commentary. The graphic you've been seeing on screen was done by the fantastic Finnick Arrow, and we're about to end the show as my laptop has hit 69% charge.
Excellent.
And as I say that, Finnick Arrow, his page is in the description below. He does all the graphics you see on screen. Thank you to everyone tuning in. I won't be here next week, so there won't be an episode next weekend because I'll be watching the Bathurst 1000 / the Japanese Grand Prix from a poolside in the Gold Coast. So till next time, like, subscribe, and do we have credits?
We do, yeah.
Excellent. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.